What up? Happy Monday. Took a little break. You know, for me, a break is like fucking 2 days or whatever. I think it's 2 days. Maybe, yeah, 2 days. 2-day break from doing this. And rode a lot and did some stuff with the kids yesterday. I hope whoever comes across this video has a good Monday. I hope that no matter what you got going on in life, you find some things, some routines. Like, routines don't have to be hardcore. They don't have to be gym and fucking running and fucking, you know, man, it could be as simple as make my bed, and on Mondays I go to the little French pastry place, Left Bank in Olympia, and I treat myself. It could just be, you know, like there was this time when my routine was, you know, I got loaded over the weekend. I spent the last day of my weekend trying to recoup so I could, you know, somewhat be okay for work the next day. And I get like an hour of sleep and just, I don't even know if that was sleep. You know, and that went on for a long time, you know, and then the routine was go to work, panic, be scared, be nervous, sweat, recoup to about Thursday, and then feel a little bit better, and then, you know, repeat. Those are my, you know, those are my patterns. And I do think it's important to have the things that we do all the time over and over again that are healthy for us. I do think it's important for me to have those things that are healthy for me. I do think it's important that when I'm tripping, I write or do this. I do think it's important to, you know, talk to people that, you know, they have the same game plan, which is, you know, I don't want to get loaded, I'm tripping, I do think that's important. And I think those are routines too. But, you know, over and over again, like whatever storm I'm facing, and I face storms all the time, it just seems to, my storms come in patterns sometimes. Whether it's bills, people, places, you know, my job, whatever it may be. Sometimes I'll ask myself, I don't know how the fuck I pulled that month off after everything I was going through in my head or, you know, externally. And when I really, really think about it, I know how I pulled it off. Like, I just stuck to the things that I like, that I started when I first got clean, when I first started doing this. The prayers, the working out, the, you know, all that stuff, you know, like for me, and I talk a lot about working out in here because I think that what we do for ourselves when we exercise, you know, the changes that happen in us and what we do for ourselves mentally, like going in and then leaving and completing that. One, it's a task we complete. Two, it's, you know, it's a level of accomplishment. When I set out in this journey, this stage of the journey, making my bed was like that feeling of accomplishment. You know, it's the first task of the day, and no matter how shitty my day gets, at the end of the day, I at least come back to a made bed. And it's not like I came home to a made bed. I went back into my room and the bed was made. And no matter how stressful or shitty that shit was, I knew when I laid back down on there, I didn't have to like make it. And that was like my routine, and then I added something to it, and then I added something else to it. But you know, I think that fitness is important. I really do. Like for me, it is. I'd like to stress, like I'd like somebody to challenge that, and tell me that fitness is not. I haven't done any research so far to tell me it isn't. So when I'm talking to my friends, it's something I suggest because it's something I do. I never suggest anything that I wouldn't do myself, you know, and so it helps. And enough of those built up, you know, even if it's a walk. Like I definitely recommend anybody watching this that is going through it, add something. Walk, push-ups, fucking run. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Just add it to your routines and just do it once a week. And then I promise you, if you do it once a week, you'll want to do it more. You'll find time. You'll find time to fit it in. Had a good day yesterday for a lot of reasons. I took Lucy out to, the two of us went and got food. Had a really good conversation with a friend, and then took Lucy out to go eat. And then I took Grayson out to go do, you know, take care of him. And I'm in a good headspace. I haven't been. You know, if you watch these things, you can tell I haven't been in a good headspace. But I haven't been at that point of where like I want to turn around and stop. Or I haven't. Let me rephrase that. I haven't turned around and stopped. I just keep going. I have a friend of mine that reached out to me, and he's going through some things, and he asked for my advice, and it was cool to talk to him about that situation and then commit to him on adding some stuff. It feels good to be able to, if somebody reaches out to me, be like, okay, let's do this every Wednesday. We're going to go do this. And them commit to it, and then make sure I commit to it, and be that person that, you know, somebody can count on to help them better themselves. And so I'm grateful that he reached out to me. I'm grateful that people reach out to me, and, you know, they can trust me enough to say, hey, I'm going through this and I need somebody to talk to. Like, I no longer have to, like, not be able to look at the mirror. I hated the mirror for so fucking long, man. I just hated it. And anytime I'd see myself in the mirror, like, the one thought that will pop in my head is, you're a piece of shit. Like, you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're worthless. Like, and then when I would listen to that, it's like, it's almost like, now, I don't know what your higher power or spirituality is, whoever's watching this, but it's almost like the devil was like, all right, let's go. And, like, races off. Like, you're a piece of shit. You're not worth it. You should die. Your kids don't need you. Your family doesn't love you. Your friends, you don't have any. Like, go ahead, look in your phone. Nobody to call. You know, just like boom, 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 boom. To the point of where, like, I'd look in the mirror again and I would just move it. I don't talk to myself like that anymore. The thoughts creep. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're ever going to not creep. I don't think they're ever going to not, like, try to penetrate into my soul. But I have things that I do that immediately stop them, like how I write to myself. And it all I don't know, like it all started not too long ago, actually, when I was writing and I was tripping, and then I talked to myself, Rodney, stop that shit. And then just wrote that letter to myself. That's for some reason that unlocks something. And I've written a letter to myself plenty. I mean, I've been at 3 treatment centers. I've written myself a letter plenty. But this was in the middle of my skin crawling. I feel uncomfortable. I can't focus. So maybe I'll write myself out of this. And that normal way I would write with like false hope and bullshit turned into stop that shit. And it was like back to fucking the second week of treatment. Write a letter to yourself. Put your assets in there. And it did something for me. And so now I find myself like, it's almost like my writings have manifested into something different. And I catch myself writing, positive affirmations to myself. I heard this phrase, toxic positivity. So I want to look that up. Like, I know that's a thing, toxic positivity. And it kind of like hit me here. Like, am I positive, toxic positivity? I don't believe I am, but I want to dive into that. Like, is that something I do? I'm a fucking cheerleader. I talk to people like I talk to myself. If somebody's fucking going through it, there's that don't co-sign bullshit. I'll never tell somebody it's okay to get loaded. I'll never tell somebody it's okay to fucking talk shit to yourself. I'll never tell somebody that it's okay, to not work on getting better. But is my cheerleading toxic? And I'd like to look into that. Like, I think in this journey, there's a lot of information out there that I can look up and try to figure out, what I can do to be a better version of myself for others. And so, yeah, today's going to be a great day. And it's been a minute since I could say that. I'll keep saying today's going to be a good day, but today's going to be a great day. I'm clean. I got a year, 7 months, and 25 days. So I'm almost here at a year and 8 months. Something like that. I'm doing well at work. I'm working steps. I'm there for people. My kids are, they can count on me now. They couldn't then. So it took a lot of work to get to that point. So I put in a lot of work, and I care for others. I feel there's somebody I know that used to call themselves an empath, and I just was like, man, that's bullshit, right? Because I know better, right? Like, the fuck is that? IDGBAM or whatever they want to call it, whatever it's called. Sorry. See, I still have that in me. But and then I find myself like getting really emotional for people or about people. Like, I could be at fucking 7-Eleven, man, and I could just see that look in their eyes and like just fucking. So maybe there's something about that. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm also self-centered. I'm also ego-driven. I got all that going on. But I'm learning to care for myself, and I'm learning to be a better person in general. My purpose, I'm starting to figure out my why. You know, like, it's taken me 6 years to really, like, if he were to ask me that question today, what is your why? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, why do you get out of bed? Why do you put your fucking pants on? Why do you come to work? You know, what is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? You know, and I sat there and tried to write out my why, and I said, I want to help people. And that is such a broad state. That's like saying I want to be rich, and that's it. You know, what is my why? And that's purpose. And in this journey, I have found that the lack of purpose is one of the biggest contributors to my getting loaded all the time. I had no purpose. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like I had nothing to offer anybody or the world. I don't feel like that today. And now it's like, I feel like I want to just save and help and be there. And I'm trying to figure out balance, and I think that, like, I'm on the right track, but I ain't quite there yet, but I'm getting there. And so, the goal here is to, you know, like I keep saying, I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to have anger. So I'll sit in sadness and keep that season a long time and avoid anger, where anger is definitely a healthy emotion. Acting anger is a character defect. And holding on to anger for a long period of time is a resentment. And a resentment, if I hold on to it long enough, becomes a reservation. And that reservation gives me the ability to get loaded. Like, I hold on to it for long enough. Like that if you watch reels and stuff, the guy holding up the glass and he says, how much does this weigh? And they all give him, and he's like, it doesn't matter how much it weighs. It's how long I hold on to it, to how heavy it's going to get. And if I hold on to it for long enough, my arm will feel like it's paralyzed. I really like that analogy. That's kind of like anger overbuilt over time becomes a resentment. So I'm so fucking afraid of resentments that I'll just sit in a season without trying to feel another emotion. And I know anger is a secondary emotion, for me at least. And so I'm trying my best to use these tools that I'm obtaining to kind of identify how I'm feeling, who, what, when, where, and why. Write each one out, kick in some gratitudes, find acceptance, and understand the definition of surrender. You know, surrendering to not just a person, place, or thing, but also surrendering to the pain, surrendering to the process, and understanding that it's part of growth. And so, yeah, I'm not feeding myself negative music, and just trying to figure out what today's going to look like, and not focus too much on what next week is going to be like. But just for today, I feel good. So hopefully whoever watches this can feel good too. Maybe something that I said in here will help you get a perspective over what you got going on, whatever it is. So that's all I got. Peace out. Do something for yourself today. And if you're in recovery, do something for your recovery today. There's 2 good goals that you can have for yourself. You do enough of those and you've done a whole bunch of them. So that's it. Peace.